welcome to Storyboard. I'm Shubhani Gharat. It is the week of Cannes Lion Festival of Creativity, and Cannes Lion, as we all know, is the epicenter of global creativity and celebration of the best advertising and marketing across the world. But this year was all about AI. Storyboard 18 was on ground in south of France to get the biggest stakeholders to tell us about what the future holds. First up, we caught up with Philippe Krakowski, Global Chief Executive Officer, Interpublic Group, one of the largest ad holding companies, and spoke to him about AI, media trends, insights shaping strategies, and more. Listen in. Hello and welcome to CNBC TV 18. Philippe, it's lovely to have you here.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
And we're here at the Mastercard Villa, a gorgeous setting.
Beautiful setting.
And one of the things that everyone is talking about right now, of course, is AI. Generative AI specifically.
Yes.
Now, I want to just quickly get your view on how this technology that has scaled faster than anything that we've ever seen before, and it's put the power in the hands of the end user, and which is why I think a lot of people are fearing it, are anxious about it, they're very curious about it and excited about it. But tell me, what's your take on how it will change the media and advertising business?
Well, I think that media and advertising, perhaps it will have disparate effects. So as with so much technology, what I think it does is it creates a platform, and it's something which, in conjunction with human expertise, can unlock value and opportunity. We've incorporated AI into our business for quite a few years now on the media side.
Right.
So machine learning has been a big part of the kind of analytics work we do, and a lot of what happens when you've got data and then you begin to use it to project and predict and just make smarter decisions. So data decisioning and AI have already been part of the business for, I would say, the last 3 to 5 years.
Right.
Specifically to what you're asking, I think it's very early days. And the question is really going to be the ways in which we can tap into. I was just speaking, in fact, to one of our senior creative people, and they have been training the creative department on how do you use prompts to then accelerate or create more, see more avenues and opportunities for your creative thinking. So I think it's early to say how it's going to impact that part of the business.
Right.
It will clearly allow us to be more efficient, but I also think that it should free some of our people to spend time with clients working on higher order kinds of creativity or higher order kinds of marketing problems. But to this point, I think anybody who tells you that they know precisely what impact it's going to have is probably going to be wrong, or they're probably making a promise they can't keep.
So, okay, keeping AI in mind, of course, but besides that, what are you doing over the next year or so to make the group future ready?
Well, I think we're extending certain areas where we were perhaps first or ahead of the game. Clearly, data, first-party data expertise, so the management of first-party data.
And that is where you were ahead of the game.
That is part of, with Acxiom, we were early, and it is combining that, particularly with our media business, has been a big driver of our recent performance.
Right.
I think the big area that we will focus to the point of your question is really going to be in every aspect of commerce, and then data has been connected to media, and now the question is into the advertising technology ecosystem. And so I think the opportunity and the challenge is to take data and connect it to the marketing technology ecosystem. So to the marketing technology platforms and to the ways in which marketers are using both their owned and their earned platforms and assets to connect directly with the consumer and basically go direct to the consumers or to drive the commerce component of every kind of business and every interaction with consumers. So those are the places we're focused.
Let me now switch tracks and come to India.
Okay.
You have, of course, been a great champion of India very early on.
even perhaps over China. Let me just get a sense from you. What do you, India, for instance, over the past few years, it's gained creative clout.
Absolutely.
It has significant business clout in the world today.
Yep.
So what is your take of the Indian market? And from IPG's perspective as well, what are you doing? What are you doing in the market right now? Where are you investing? What are your focus areas?
Well, as you say, I think for us, we've over-indexed to India, right? So if you think about our scale as a holding company at a global level, where we're the fourth largest, whereas in India, we're the second largest. If I think about other markets where we have significant presence, in India, we also have significant and very balanced presence where many of our agencies are well represented. All of the disciplines are well represented. And I think it's been a function of the economic opportunity that the market represents.
Right.
So when you think about, you're compounding 6 on 6 on 6, in this day and age, that's clearly a very dynamic market, and it's becoming a very large market in absolute terms. When you think about, obviously, as we all know, the scale of the population, and whether it is today or 3 weeks from now will become the largest national population globally. But it's also always interested us because it is a place where you've got this very large group of highly educated potential colleagues, workers. We probably have been in the 3,500 or so. I mean, we have a large employee base there for us. But I think some of the trends we're talking about play to India's advantage, some of the geopolitical trends, clearly, but the degree to which our business has become technology-enabled marketing service has meant that we've always seen it as a place where we want to anchor and root some of our areas of expertise. So for right now, we're building a 500-600 person strong global capability center for our media business, which is our most digitally and technology advanced business, which in another few years will be 1,000, 1,200 people. So we continue to feel very good about that. And then as an advertising market, one of the things that I always find sort of fascinating and a little bit mind-blowing is, so it's the fastest growing in absolute terms, it's, at 12, 13, 15%. It's the fastest growing advertising market. But on a advertising dollar invested per person basis, it is at 1/100th of the concentration that you would see in Western Europe or the United States. It's at 1/10th of what China is at. And so if you think about China as a logical and obvious analog, I think we're going to see a lot of growth in the intensity of the advertising investment that happens in India on the part of a lot of global brands. So we're still quite keen.
And in this super interesting conversation, Yannick Bolloré, Chairman Avas Group, says AI might kill average creative directors. Let's hear his take on AI regulation with regards to AI and much more in this chat with Dilshad Irani.
So Yannick, let me just begin with asking you. So you took over 10 years ago and you have seen Havas through this transformatory process. And now again, there's been a sort of rejig of the brand. Tell me, what are some of the objectives of that? What are you setting out to signal to the world about Havas?
Yeah, I mean, in the past 10 years, you're right, it's going to be my 10 years anniversary next month at the helm of Havas. I mean, the world has changed. Cannes, the Croisette has changed a lot in 10 years, and we have changed. We have been pioneer of integration. I mean, as a holding company, we put everything back together under one company. Today, it's one Havas, one culture, group of 22,000 people operating in more than 100 countries. We put meaningfulness at the core of our mission because we believe we have the responsibility to make a meaningful difference to the world through the brands for which we operate their communication. We partner with Vivendi, a world leader in content and entertainment, back in 2017. And when we talk about entertainment, it links to creativity, and creativity is maybe the most important expression of a good work. And this is a creative festival, and so far we are off to a very good start. By the way, we won many Gold Lions, so we cannot be more happy than what we are today. And last but not least, we have been so innovative during those past 10 years. I mean, putting digital at the core, building data and analytics, and everything that's going on today with AI would be such a great adventure.
I'm glad you mentioned AI because, of course, AI is all the rage right now. We're in the middle of this huge hype cycle around AI. Tell me, just keeping the hype cycle away, you're hearing all these conversations here about AI. What has struck you? Where is the real conversation about AI happening in your view? And what sort of impact will AI have, generative AI specifically, what sort of impact will it have on the advertising business, on the media business? In, say, the next couple of quarters? You know, I'm not talking about 5 years, but the reality now.
It's a fantastic question, but I don't think it's hype. I think it's a real revolution. You know, as a person, I'm an early adopter to every new technology. So last December, I was trying for the first time generative AI. Beginning of December, I was struck by the power of generating text and the power of generating images. Even for my greeting cards, for my New Year's cards that I was sending to my friends and partners.
Wow.
I used AI. I used Midjourney. I was doing the prompt myself with the team, and I was struck. So since then, we have been implementing AI everywhere in our creative agencies to make sure we can use those powerful tools to help the team to become more efficient, more effective. It's already implemented and a game changer. We just announced a couple hours ago the launch of a new production branch called Pros on Pixels that will be hugely powered by AI, by generative AI. So I think AI is not something from the future. It's already here. A lot of things that we are doing today, the teams have been working through AI, and it will continue to be a revolution for the industry. But I think for the good, because when you talk about creativity, I hear some people saying maybe AI will replace creative director.
Or mechanized creativity.
Or mechanized creativity. This is where I think it is a fantastic opportunity for the advertising industry. Because if you allow me to take an analogy with what happened in the years 1830s, with the invention of photographies hasn't killed painters. It has killed average painters. So I believe AI might kill
average creative
directors. And this is where, as a group with the best strategic planners, with the best creative directors, we will be able to stand out and to make our brand stand out for the crowd. So I think it's going to be a golden age for true creative advertising campaigns.
Absolutely. Let me just follow up on that question because, of course, a lot of people are fearing for their jobs, and this is across sectors. But in terms from your view, from say, you know, a media maven's view, as well as, you know, as you run this large company, what sort of impact do you see in terms of job? There's a hype cycle and there's a fear cycle.
I mean, in general, every revolution brings a change in the way jobs are structured.
Right.
But all the revolution that we have seen in the past 2 centuries, it has created more jobs than it has destroyed jobs. So I think at the end of the day, it will be positive. But for sure, it will change. I mean, today, just to give you an example on creativity, a creative guy can create an image in 20 minutes where it was taking 5 hours yesterday. So we will gain a lot of efficiencies.
Speed.
Back offices as well. I mean, IT, legal, finance, HR will be revolutionized through AI. But at the end of the day, at the same time, if we are making some savings, let's say on the one hand, on the other hand, we are hiring lots of prompt writers. We are training all our people. So we have new coaches on AI. Because out of 22,000 people that have us, by year end, before December 31st, we will train our 22,000 people on AI. So I think it will create job on the other way.
Right. I mean, prompt engineering is a job that has just emerged.
It didn't exist last year. We didn't know what a prompt was.
Absolutely.
It is time for a short break. On the other side, we have Harit Nagpal, MD and CEO Tata Play, who is giving us an insight into the OTT aggregator ecosystem and the way forward. Welcome back. You're watching Storyboard. Delivering on its promise of making access to OTT content and its discovery easy, Tata Play Binge now claims to have become the nation's biggest OTT aggregator platform with 27 apps. With Tata Play Binge subscribers getting entry into all of their favorite content across screens, mobile, desktop, tablet or TV with one subscription, one search and one app. To celebrate this milestone, the brand has also rolled out an extensive campaign called Bachcha Bachcha Janta Hai, featuring Saif Ali Khan and Kareena Kapoor Khan, talking about the essence of the offering, which is having access to all the content from 27 OTT platforms covering movies, shows, news, games and more under one unified platform. We have the exclusive access to this film ahead of the launch, and we are also catching up with Harit Nagpal, MD and CEO Tata Play, who's giving us an insight into the OTT aggregator ecosystem and the way forward. Listen in.
मीरा जी, ये आर्या कहाँ पे देखने को मिलेगा?
टाटा प्ले बिंज पे देखिए डिज्नी प्लस हॉटस्टार का आर्या, जी5 की बंदा और सोनी लिव का गुल्लक जैसे शोज और मूवीज सब एक बिंज ऐप पे।
मनोज सर, ये तो बच्चा बच्चा जानता है, अब तो पूछना बंद कीजिए।
टाटा प्ले बिंज 22 प्लस OTT apps एक ही ऐप में।
Harit, welcome to CNBC TV 18.
Thank you.
It has been a year and a half since you rebranded to Tata Play and then Tata Play Binge. Tell us, how has the past year and a half panned out so far?
Purpose of rebranding really was that we'd been kind of successful television linear content distributors for almost about 15-17 years, and we started distributing OTT content. We became aggregators for that. And when we went to our customers with that content, they said, oh, this is your competition or this is an alternative. And we never saw it as an alternative. We saw it as an add-on. We saw it in another way of consuming the same content through another screen, through another medium. So then we said, okay, the conclusion was that let's change our clothes. Let's change our appearance. Let's change our mannerism. And that meant rebranding. So we did that, and effect was that not only were we accepted as vendors of content, but our salience, our likability, our intention to purchase us, all those numbers went up because of the activity that we did around it.
So OTT aggregator space is very unique. It's very complex at the same time. You know, there are these telecom operators who began, providing this OTT aggregator service. Then DTH players such as yourself entered. There are these OTT players who also, to a great extent, provide OTT apps are present. So it's confusing for the consumer to choose between these different offerings. How does a consumer do that then? And your take on this whole complexity of this entire...
So what you call complex, we saw it as a natural next step, effectively. Because what were we doing prior to this? A customer had a choice between 600 channels, of which everybody chose his 20, 30, 40, whatever channels they normally watched, depending on the language and the genre they were interested in.
Correct.
We did our deals with these 600 odd channels and created a digital interface which made discovery of content easy for the customer and also allowed him to subscribe into packages of his choice.
Yeah.
These are the three basic jobs.
Yeah.
Deals, subscribable packages, content discovery easy. When we noticed that there is not going to be 1, 2 or 4, but 30, 40, 50 apps, each one having hundreds of thousands of pieces of content, and a customer having to forge commercial relation with each one of them, and then spend his evening trying to wade through this content, looking for what he wants to watch, we saw an opportunity. Exactly the way we'd seen it in television.
Yeah.
And our experience of creating that platform, albeit in a very different kind of a platform, through a different medium for different screens, but yet there was an opportunity. So we saw it as a natural next step.
So when these OTT platforms are pushed through an aggregator, there is a lot of pricing cut, which a lot of OTT platforms such as Netflix have been speaking about, and the cost of content production has only increased over the past couple of years. So your take on that, and is it sustainable? Would we see something else in the coming years?
So you got to look at it from what's the reality on the ground. An app may be charging X dollars or X rupees to the subscriber. How much is it taking home out of that? The cost of acquisition and the cost of retaining and the cost of reacquiring the same subscriber, if you add those up, there is very little that the app owner is taking home. Because those are hidden costs. Now, for every app owner to spend those costs versus an aggregator to spend the same cost in acquiring a customer for many apps, it is more efficient with an aggregator. If I'm selling a pack of, say, 20 apps, I'm spending the acquisition cost, the retention cost, and reacquisition cost once. If these 20 apps were to go out into the market and acquire, retain, and reacquire those subscribers, it'll be 20x of that. So it is always more efficient. It is convenient for the customer and efficient for the apps to have an aggregator in between.
So also, two things clearly apart from, being efficient for the customer, there has also been, and we spoke about this, a subscription and wallet fatigue that consumers used to face prior to aggregators taking on in a big way over the past couple of years. What are the other need gaps that need to be fulfilled in the years to come, Harit?
Content discovery. The search engine optimization and the recommendation engines. In linear at least, there were 600 channels. If there were 600 channels, there were 600 programs playing, of which 40 were relevant to you. So you had to choose between 40. You didn't have to choose between. In OTT, the amount of content, whatever has ever been produced, is lying out there on the cloud.
Yeah, and it takes you hours, sometimes to figure out what do you really want to watch.
It's like buying a shirt.
Yeah.
You go to
buying a shirt online. It's easier to see it in the store.
No, it's very difficult to see in the store because you got to go to 5 stores.
Yeah.
And then look for a size 40 shirt in stripes at 5 stores, one by one. And then decide that I would like one on the second store and one on the third store and none on the other stores. And then go back to those 2 stores and buy that one shirt here, go through billing. Same thing is happening to content. You wade through 5 apps looking for content of the language that you want to watch in and genre that you watch in. So you go through 1 app, 2nd app, 3rd app, 4th app, and by the time you reach the 5th app, you've forgotten what you liked on the 2nd and the 3rd and the 4th. And then you go back to those and start watching those. Instead, if your language and genre, I give you in one rail from these 5 apps, you could start watching what you wanted to watch in probably 5 seconds of your switching on your device. When you started watching television, when you watched it, you pressed guide, you selected the genre.
Sure.
So I want to go to entertainment. Selected the language, whether it is Hindi or Telugu or Tamil or whatever. So you selected Hindi. The 10 channels that are showing Hindi entertainment at this point in time are displayed with what they're showing. You select on that, and in about 3 to 5 seconds of your switching on a television, you are watching what you wanted to watch.
Correct.
Our benchmark was that. A person should be able to get to the content that he wants to watch
Faster.
in seconds of switching on his device. So your search engine, your recommendations, your aggregation, the entire plan needs to work around that aim.
Yeah.
So for that, what you need to do is you need to first of all have deals or contracts or aggregations with the most watched apps. It is not that I have 20 apps. I have the 20 top apps which are most watched. So even in television, we used to say, okay, am I covering 99% of the viewership by the channels? I may not have 99% of the channels in the genre. But do the channels that I have cover 99% of viewership, which normally ends at about 50% of the channels. The long tail normally gives you 1% of the viewership. So it was the same principle we used at the aggregation level here.
How do you see the OTT aggregator space evolving in the coming months, and what are some of the interesting consumer insights or trends that you have seen that will shape it in the coming months or years?
So I hope the OTT aggregator space grows up because we alone cannot grow this category. And the interesting part is that everybody you meet socially tells you that, oh, we only watch OTT. But when you look at the data, yes, there is about, and loosely speaking, because there are various sources of data and none of them is accurate, but you form a picture of what is happening in the country. So apparently there is about 500 million people who are watching OTT content in the country. 90% of them are watching free OTT content. They're not paying for it. As an aggregator, you are interested in somebody who's paying for it because that's the only way you will make money. A free customer and you not having control on the advertising, the aggregator doesn't make money there. So I'm only interested in pay. Pay is 10% of the total viewing. Of this 10%, half of it is bundled content, bundled through your service providers, like your telecom or whatever. So that's something that the aggregator like us is not interested in. So that leaves only 5% of the total, which is paying. The interesting insight was that this 5% also majority is subscribing to 1 or 2 apps, that too intermittently. So there is the myth that there are 80 apps and everybody is watching OTT only in this country is a myth. So the aggregator's job, if you ask me today, is to grow this market. So on one side, to make it easy for the customer to have a commercial relationship and discover content. On the other side, to grow the paid.
How do you do that?
By taking the aggregated bundle and the convenience of it to more number of people. Because today, maybe a lot of people are not subscribing to apps because it is difficult. It is cumbersome to forge a commercial relationship with so many apps and keep them renewed and then wade through content every day. If I take out these two pains out of the aggregation, it'll probably become like television tomorrow.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thanks for joining us and sharing these insights with us. Hari.
Pleasure always. Thank you.
With that, it's a wrap on Storyboard this week. You can catch all of our content on Facebook, Twitter and YouTube. Thanks for watching. We will be back same time next week. See you soon.